Hey, thank you for trusting me with this question because I have been very loudly on here as an intentionally child free old broad. And so I love that you asked me this because to me, this is where women's solidarity rubber hits the road, that we can be feminists together and not have the same life goals. But I want to support you and all women in fulfilling the vision you have for your life. And I want to support women who want children just as ardently as I support women who don't want to be burdened with a pregnancy that they can't and don't want to carry to term. We decenter men because men have exploited women and misused their violent power for thousands and thousands of years across the globe. But you know what? We can't really decenter babies. Why would we? Babies don't have any power at all. Babies come into our lives, hopefully all wanted, so that we can love them and care for them and watch them grow into full human beings and be part of nurturing them. So, so anyway, that framework of decentering, I think maybe the more effective term would be that you're trying to find maybe like a new paradigm or framework for creating a life that feels true to your deepest desires. You talk about grief, I think, because there were two parts to this question. And you talk about dealing with some grief around finally realizing, or maybe coming to realize, that the dating thing is pretty terrible. There is a lot of grief work in the work of liberation. And that's why we do this work in community and why we do it assisted by, again, members of community, which sometimes we have to work very hard to create. Community doesn't just happen. It really takes effort and desire and will on everyone's behalf to make it happen in an authentic way. Do you know what I mean? Not just that fake, smiley, Pilates lady kind of way. Oops, sorry. You know who I mean, though. And also having a therapist or a spiritual director help you in your discernment is also something that I would highly recommend. What's the difference? A therapist tends to look at, is clinically trained and tends to look at like our childhood influences and our emotional patterns. A spiritual director, and I, by the way, am a certified spiritual director, we create a space to really listen to the soul, to listen to the spirit. And it's not really, we don't necessarily go to the past unless somebody really wants to. But I pay attention with my directees. I pay attention to their dreams, to their intuition. If they are religious, we might look at how their religious practice or their understanding of scripture or their sense of God's presence or movement in their life is leading or guiding them or, guarding them. So people are very different. I've worked with lots of people in spiritual direction who are full out atheists, just by the way. I think it was the great Audre Lorde who said something like, we tend to think of romantic relationships as the key, most central relationships in our lives. But of course, she writes, it's community. And when she says, of course, I love that. She's a Black lesbian feminist warrior. She is now in the spirit realm with the ancestors. The of course is like saying we should know this, but we don't. If you're going to pursue a parenting path for yourself, that would be very exciting. You just have to be really aware of what your resources are. Obviously, financial, emotional, and social. I wish I could tell you we lived in a world that supports solo parenting at all, and especially single mothers. But I think you and I both know the truth that it sucks now, and it's only likely to get worse. One last thing, you said decentering family. I have reconstructed my notion of family over many, many years, embracing the idea of chosen family. I am lucky that I have some very, very beloved members of my actual, biological family. But then I've also gone about creating family ties with non-kinfolk, and those bonds and those relationships are just as precious as the ones that I have with my siblings. So if you're like, I'm done trying to find some dude to procreate with, look around you, start conversations. There might be people in your life, I don't know, who would really be there for you in a dedicated way to support the family that you would create with your baby. You don't know until you start exploring and having serious conversations with people around you. I wish you well. Let me know, okay? I'll be thinking about you.